All men need to know this ASAP. In this video, I'll reveal brutal, harsh truths all men need to know ASAP before it's too late. A serious problem young men have nowadays is how badly prepared they are for life, relationships, work, and the real world in general. Perhaps they have been overly sheltered by parents or riddled with fear and anxiety. Maybe they've always taught themselves out of things. Well, the irony in all of that is when they want something they appear not to be able to have, for example, a girlfriend, a high-paying, successful career, and a fulfilling, meaningful life, they moan and complain. They will say variations of the following. It's women's fault that I am still single. The government always screws me over. Men have it so hard in life. I will never catch a break at all. The truth is, if you find yourself in that category of saying and believing the above, as a man, you need to get a grip. And there are several harsh, brutal truths you need to know ASAP in order to better equip you for life moving forward, because so far, whatever you've been doing just is not working. Number 1. Self-reliance is vital. While seeking support is important, understanding how to be self-reliant and resilient in the face of adversity is a crucial life skill. Overly pampered men are not self-reliant. They rely on almost everybody else in their lives to sort things out for them. And when adversity strikes, they crumble, making them more of a hindrance in a crisis of any kind. Craig was a mama's boy, well into his 30s, and even after he got married. He never learnt to drive, but was driven around by his wife and mother. He never learnt to cook or clean, again relied on other people. Whenever he had a problem, he'd want and get other people to sort it out for him, making him completely dependent on others. His wife eventually lost respect for him and filed for divorce, which left him hopeless when he was single and alone. Become self-reliant. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification so you never miss any of my videos. Number 2. Face fear and difficulty. As men, we must be ready to face challenges with courage. Instead of avoiding discomfort, confront it with resilience and a rational mindset. A study was carried out on young men where they were brought into a research lab to play video games for free and get paid for it. But the research they were conducting was fascinating. They looked at how the men would cope in a video game the moment the levels got harder or that they couldn't solve a certain puzzle, etc. A vast majority gave up at the first try and got bored and wanted to leave immediately. Then a few others tried finishing the hard levels, but then again slowly gave up. But only 5% persisted, in some cases for hours, determined to not be defeated by the games they were playing. The research team concluded that those 5% are more likely to face difficulty and challenges more successfully due to a tenacity to never give up and keep persisting. I used to know a guy like this personally. We can call him John. John was a lovely guy. He was funny and smart. He was good fun at times. But John was notorious for being a quitter. The moment things got hard, life got tough, things were against him, he would bow out and give up. Coincidentally, John loved video games, but he never in his entire life finished or completed one. So the study proved to be dangerously accurate. In the course of a decade, he had 3 different jobs in 3 different sectors, aka 3 different careers. And the reason he chopped and changed and flip-flopped so much was simple. He hated the adversity he faced. The moment any of them got hard, he would make a drastic change to try and do something else entirely, until over time, 3 years roughly, he'd be back to square one again. He was consistently afraid. He couldn't handle difficulty. His life lacked meaning, purpose, substance, consistency, and success. Please don't be like John, please. Face fear and difficulty as a man head on. If you are enjoying this video, please smash that like button and survive walking away with my brand new course. You can download it now in the description below. Number 3. Detachment from dating outcomes. Approach dating with a focus on the process rather than fixating on the outcome. Detach from specific expectations and be open to whatever unfolds. Those blessed and cursed with vivid imaginations like myself can often daydream a little too much. A young single man may match with a pretty girl on a dating app, and his mind will ponder. As he daydreams, he imagines getting on well with her over the app messenger, then how they've exchanged numbers and arranging to talk. Pretty soon they're out together on a first date, and it's love at first sight, her side. Not long after, they're getting on a plane for their first vacation together. After that, they are engaged. His family are overwhelmed with joy at the news. Suddenly, he's standing at the altar waiting for his blushing bride-to-be to come and marry him. Then as he awakens from that daydream, he looks at the dating app to see a message from this mysterious woman which reads the following: "Really sorry, I'm sure you're a lovely guy, but I matched with you by mistake. I'm gonna go now. Take care." Back to that harsh reality. She has vanished and gone. Now the young, single and hopeless man is depressed and so upset because in his mind he was attached to an outrageous and unrealistic outcome. Most men think like this who are desperate for love. Most men act like this who are desperate for a relationship. Most men daydream and imagine the desired outcome. But you are far better off detaching yourself for the outcome and hoping for the best and preparing for the worst. Most men who successfully get out of the single phase and go on to have successful, long-lasting relationships with women do this. They go for it, but make peace for the fact it might not work out. Slowly and surely, they find the right woman and the rest is history. There is nothing wrong in dreaming of an ideal and positive scenario for yourself, but be prepared for reality, which might go completely differently, aka the opposite of your desired outcome. Guys, please share your thoughts. Feel free to share your experiences and opinions in the comment section below. Number 4. Life is suffering. Stoics and Buddhists believe that life is suffering and that it is important for us as men especially to be better, improve and become more resilient to face that suffering better. In the past, I was quite a sheltered man who really could not face the adversity of life. I desperately needed toughening up. Therefore, the following events for me allowed me to do so. I lost the successful business I had built from scratch several years ago. It was honestly so hard and depressing at the time. That defeat, despite working so hard, building it from scratch and doing everything possible to save it, was a devastating blow. The man I became after losing that was never the same as before, certainly far more resilient and grittier. I walked away from a gambling addiction of 14 years in 2019. Being an addict for so long, suffering the way I did, losing all that time, energy and precious money was brutal. The man I became after having the strength and courage to be clean and sober again was far braver and more resilient. I also walked away from a toxic relationship with a narcissist in 2019. Having endured what I did, becoming the worst version of myself, suffering so many triggering and upsetting moments will forever be so jarring for me. The man I became after again having the bravery to walk away and stay away was far more resilient and self-aware. In early 2020, in the lockdowns of the pandemic, my father tragically got sick and died. Having to lose him without saying goodbye, isolating alone and waiting months to bury him due to a backlog of deaths, etc., was easily one of the worst and most awful periods of my entire life. The man I became after losing my father, and certainly the way I did too, was a far more resilient and stronger one. I don't reveal these examples for you to feel sorry for me, but to show you that life is suffering. However, it is not only storms and rain clouds. There is so much good that came from my suffering, like the SCG show, my new relationship after walking away, the new life I live after those setbacks and lessons learnt. Life is suffering. Be better, remain better to survive better. Number 5. Strive for wisdom, not knowledge. Whilst knowledge is valuable, I must emphasize the pursuit of wisdom, which involves the practical application of knowledge to live a virtuous and fulfilling life. The wiser we are as men, the more successful we are. One of the greatest compliments I receive on the SCG show is people commenting how wise I am. It comes from my setbacks, it comes from my failures, it comes from my rejections, it comes from my problems. The more self-aware we become as men, and typically the older we become, we can start making sense of things that in the past plagued and troubled us. For example, my failing business in the past, despite its incredible success, was simply not sustainable for the long run. Therefore, the wisdom earned was to build something more that can last longer and requires more patient application, aka my personal brand, the SCG show. My failed toxic relationship was a disaster for many different reasons, but above all else, the wisdom gained from it was I would never be good enough for the wrong person. Lastly, my father's tragic death made me realize I needed to cherish the good people and things I have in my life and be more grateful too. Life is short and we must make sure we do what we can to enjoy it. Seek wisdom, aka the truth. Like this video, because already you'll be in the top percentile of men.